Hello, trumpet players and musicians and other people who are visiting my blog. Um, this video series that I'm doing, these videos in my car, are, I just gave it a new name. It actually is a series now, and I have a playlist on my channel now. By the way, welcome to my channel. I'm calling it Behind the Wheel Trumpet Wisdom. And what I'm doing is when I get to the gig early, I talk a little bit about what's on my mind and share that with you. Start a conversation, if you will. If it doesn't interest you, then we won't start a conversation, right? I apologize for it being so dark. I'm in a parking garage. I thought there would be more light. There's not more light. But instead of not doing it, I figured I would go ahead. If people complain, then maybe I won't do this again. But it's not like you really need to see like everything that I'm doing, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm at a traditional jazz gig today from noon to 3 o'clock. We play at this little cafe downtown Houston. Very intimate for that kind of music, I guess. So anyway, today we're going to talk about what the benefits are of a more stoic approach to your trumpet playing. And I guess before we do that, we got to talk about basically what does it mean to have a stoic approach. And before I say that, I need to tell you that I'm not into Stoic philosophy. I use the word stoic to describe something I've done pretty much my whole life. And you could say, okay, well then you were taught Stoic philosophy from when you were a kid. Maybe that's true. That's not how I see it. This is just the way this is just a better way to live. And if you want to call it Stoic philosophy, that's fine. I'm using the word stoic as an adjective to describe what I do. Okay? I'm old enough now to know that making up your own words for stuff that already exists is not the best way to go. Does that make sense? I've done too much of that already myself. So I think it takes an ignorant person, and I mean ignorant in a genuine sense of the word, not as an insult. It takes an ignorant person to make up a new term for something that already has a word that describes it. So anyway, stoic means that you don't allow your emotions to dictate your behavior. And like I said, I was taught to be this way by my father as far as I can remember, because I was raised on army bases across the world. And as far as I can remember, just about every man I ever had, male figure, I guess they call that male figure, every male figure I've ever had in my life taught stoic, what we would call today stoic behavior. You do not let your emotions dictate your behavior. So today, what I want to talk about is how that will benefit your music, how it will benefit your trumpet playing specifically. Okay? Now, to understand the benefits of what this can do for your music and your trumpet, you have to understand what the problem is with emotions. Here's the problem. When you are controlled by your emotions, it's easier for you to, okay, so there's two levels to this. When you're controlled by your emotions, on the first level, it's easy to screw up. You make the wrong decisions. That's the bottom line. But it's worse than just that. Let's take it to the next level. Let's take it to the next level. When you let your emotions control you, you also create an environment around you where people can control you. Because here's the thing, if you can be controlled, you will be controlled. If you can be manipulated, you will be manipulated. There are people just waiting. And in fact, I will go as far as to say is I think things have changed in this country. I think up until about 30 years ago, it was normal to teach Stoicism, what we call today Stoicism, to I can't speak for how it was for girls, right? I think for men and boys, this was what we were taught. Hear me out on this. I believe that there's been a push in our society over the last 30 years to make the population become less stoic and more impulsive. And you can blame commercialism. They definitely have a role in that. But I also blame our political leaders. I also blame our church leaders. I blame everybody who let this happen. Because why? Because they enjoy the control they have over you. I think this has been the last 30 years has been one big orgy of motivating people to be more emotional. And the reason behind that effort is to capitalize on the control they have over you. A Stoic person, if you are taught the way I was taught when I was younger, that you don't let your emotions control you, then 90% of what these people do to manipulate you doesn't work. Okay? Now, applying that to the trumpet and applying it to your music, there's a bunch of stuff. First of all, let's start there first. You being manipulated into doing stuff that isn't necessarily best for you as a musician, as a trumpet player. For example, buying the next big book that comes out, right? There are a lot of videos online that teach how to do internet sales and all that stuff. Every person that comes up with a book and says, oh, why is my book not selling? They go online, they do the research, and they say, oh, it's because I'm not manipulating their emotions to make them buy my book. I'm not manipulating their emotions to make them buy my trumpet. I'm not manipulating their emotions to make them do this or make them do that. So right there already is a huge benefit of having a more stoic approach to the trumpet and to music. That's already a huge benefit. All right? That's already a huge benefit. So the first benefit is that you're less easily manipulated. And it's not just stuff like what you spend your money on. It's not just stuff like that. It's also what groups you sign up for. It's also what you spend your time practicing, right? If you can be manipulated through your emotions, you will be manipulated through your emotions to do whatever it is they want you to do. You become nothing more than a puppet. Okay, that's not actually true. You become something a lot more than just a puppet. You become a puppet that's on fire. What do they call that? A zealot? A activist? You see what I'm saying? You become much more than just a puppet. You are their little pawn to go fight their battles for them. Now, looking at it on a more personal level, if you are have a more stoic approach to the instrument, you're not going to make as many bad decisions based on your emotions. For example, what is it you're trying to achieve? Let's say you got last chair one time in the chair tests, and someone says, you'll never amount to anything, and that just builds a fire inside of you, and you're just going to prove them wrong, right? You just got triggered. And the decisions you make when you're feeling that way are the wrong decisions. We're talking about decisions like, what should you practice? Why should you practice? How long should you practice? What should you be saying through your horn? All of this stuff breaks down. All of it breaks down. Here I am talking about taking a more stoic approach, and I'm getting excited. Oops. Oh, that's just funny. Oh my. Are you following me? It's okay. So you know what? One of the things I read, and I love this because this is true. And I think it's Cicero that said this. And like I said, I don't study Stoic philosophy. It just happened that I read this one day, and it's just so true. I think it was Cicero that said, it's not that we don't feel emotion. Stoics aren't psychopaths. They've got emotions. They feel stuff. When you do stuff to them that hurts, they still hurt. When you do stuff for them that makes them happy, they're still happy. They're just not going to let their happiness make them do stupid things. By the way, did you think that I was saying that a Stoic only avoids negative emotions? No, we don't let ourselves become controlled by any emotions. And in fact, sometimes the most dangerous emotions that you have to watch out for are the happy ones. You can do some of the most disastrous stuff when you're in a good mood and happy. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be in a good mood. I mean, that would be stupid to say. I do think it's stupid to try to manufacture good moods and good feelings and stuff like that for their own sake. Just live life and experience the emotions that come, right? That's how I see it. And I'm happy almost all the time. You wouldn't know it from my face, but that's because of my personality. We'll have to talk about that in a different video. But yeah, I'm happy all the time, and I have more than my share of happiness, and I don't pursue happiness. How ironic is that? How ironic is that? I'm happy more than most people, but I don't pursue happiness. Right? So I'm not saying thou shalt not be happy. I'm saying that when you are happy and when you are in a good mood, especially when you're in one of those like blissful states, that's a dangerous time, and you should not sign any contracts. Here's the thing is people butter you up, right? People will tell you all these wonderful things about you, and then they'll say, sign right here. Right? They'll tell you all this wonderful stuff, and you start getting those endorphins flowing. The oxytocin starts flowing. Those are your happy hormones, right? And then they say, sign this contract right here, because while you're in this good mood, I know I can make you do anything. So yes, when you take the emotions out of it, and this is how this works, and it pisses the salespeople off, because I'm out looking to buy something, the salesperson talks to me, and then I say, okay, let me think about this. They don't like that. They don't like that. But I'm not going to make a decision like that while I'm in a good mood. That's disastrous. The worst things you can do in your life happen at that time, right? So yeah, when I forgot where I was going with that. So let's summarize this real quick. When you take a more stoic approach, you're less likely to do stupid stuff. You're more likely to practice the right stuff. You're more likely to practice stuff that's going to help you. You're more likely to sign up for the stuff that's more appropriate for you. Like sign up for this band or sign up for that band, or go to this camp or go to that camp, right? Go to one university or the other university, right? If you're more stoic, you're less likely to make a bad decision like that. If you are more stoic, also, this is the other benefit. If you are more stoic, you're less likely to be manipulated. And I'm going to say it one more time. I believe that the reason why so many more people today are less stoic and more emotion driven is because of the commercial nature of our society. Everybody at every level, it's at church, it's happening at school, it's happening in the workplace, it's happening in the marketplace, it's everywhere. And it ends up being like a huge chess game where the people in power use your emotions to use you as chess pieces to go out and fight their fight. And that happens just as much in the trumpet community, in the music community, as it does everywhere else. Okay? So think about that. I got to get in there and get set up. But I want you to think about that. Think about your emotions and how you can practice trumpet. So you know what? They make being more emotional sound so good, right? They'll tell you, follow your passion. How many times have you heard people say that? Follow your passion, do what you like best, all this stuff. They're playing on your emotions. They don't want you to engage your intellectual mind. Because when the emotions, and I've heard people say, and they're wrong, well, Mr. Lewis, I don't believe that the two are mutually exclusive. You can be... That's just dumb. Everybody knows that your emotions make you disengage your rational mind. So, yeah, be thinking about that. And you know what? I invite you down in the comments to share your thoughts. If you think I'm wrong, let's talk about it. But this is my approach to the trumpet. You know, well, okay, one more. I'm gonna because I'll do a separate video on this later. But let's talk about one more benefit real quick. It's a lot easier to be organized about your practice. This is a big one. This is a big one. I'm glad I didn't forget to do this. It's a lot easier to be organized about your practice when you take a more stoic approach to your instrument. Okay? That's big. And we'll have to have a special separate video all about being organized in your practice. I think there's so much power in organization. You know, the last video I did like this, the last car behind the wheel video I did was on supernatural trumpet playing. That's part of how you get to be a supernatural trumpet player, is with being organized. Being organized is not a natural thing, it's supernatural. All right, well, I really better go. God bless you guys. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.